It's in the past. There's nothing to worry about.
لهلا ما قلت لنا؟
كلش مهم موضوع السرية.
This guy you're with, who you think you love, he is not a good guy.
Hey, pals and gals, let's talk movies. And today, we're diving into a smaller, more intimate film that's been generating some thoughtful conversation, Oday Rasheed's If You See Something. This is a movie that tackles some incredibly weighty and relevant themes, telling the story of Ali, an Iraqi immigrant doctor seeking political asylum, and his American girlfriend, Katie, an ambitious art gallerist. They're in the throes of building a new life together in New York, navigating the complexities of their cross-cultural relationship when a sudden crisis strikes from Ali's past, forcing them to confront how far they're willing to go for each other. It's a premise brimming with potential for a powerful, tense drama, and while the film doesn't always fully realize that potential, there's a lot here to appreciate and sit with. The strongest aspect of this film, without a doubt, is its central premise and the perspective it brings to the immigrant experience. We've seen stories about the American immigration system before, but If You See Something grounds it in the specific, haunting reality of its main character. Adam Bakri brings a quiet, weary dignity to the role of Ali. There's a fantastic, heartbreaking scene where he's in his asylum interview, and he has to clinically list off how his childhood friends died: air attack, car bomb, shot by American soldiers. The bureaucratic requirement to reduce profound personal trauma into neat categories for a dispassionate government agent is portrayed with a gut-wrenching realism that really stuck with me. It's in moments like these that the film is at its most potent and necessary. The relationship between Ali and Katie feels authentic in its setup. You believe in their shared life in New York, their love for each other, and their dreams for the future. Jess Jacobs, who also co-wrote the screenplay, portrays Katie as a well-intentioned, supportive partner. The crisis that hits, the news that their friend Dodd has been kidnapped in Baghdad and held for a massive ransom, is a compelling, inciting incident. It immediately throws their world into chaos, testing their resources and their trust in each other. The moral and emotional dilemma is huge. How do you handle a life-or-death situation happening thousands of miles away, especially when you're already fighting for your own stability in a new country? However, this is where the film starts to show some of its flaws, particularly in its pacing and narrative focus. For a story that involves a kidnapping and a race against time, the film moves with a deliberate, often slow, pace that sometimes drains the tension from the situation. The plot requires Ali to keep the severity of the crisis from Katie for a significant portion of the film, and the reasons for this secrecy don't always feel entirely convincing. It creates a narrative friction that feels more like a script device than an organic character choice, especially for a couple that seems so open otherwise. Furthermore, the film sometimes feels pulled in two different directions. On one hand, you have this intense, high-stakes thriller element with the kidnapping. On the other, there's a more subdued domestic drama about Ali navigating the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, prejudices of Katie's family, particularly her father, played by the always reliable Reed Birney. While these family dinner scenes are effective in their own right, showcasing that brand of liberal, well-meaning, but ultimately ignorant microaggressions, they can feel like a distraction from the more pressing central plot. The two threads don't always weave together seamlessly, and you might find yourself, as I did, wishing the film would dedicate more of its energy and runtime to the core crisis involving Dodd. The performances are a bit of a mixed bag. Adam Bakri is a strong, anchoring presence, conveying a world of pain, duty, and fear behind his eyes. Reed Birney is perfectly cast as the problematic father, delivering his loaded lines with a casual, unthinking precision that makes you cringe. Jess Jacobs is earnest and committed as Katie, though there are moments in the more emotionally charged scenes where the performance doesn't quite land with the full force the moment requires, which can slightly undermine the emotional stakes. Despite these issues, I never found myself disengaged. The film's atmosphere is steeped in a palpable melancholy, and its heart is firmly in the right place. It offers a poignant look at the impossible position many immigrants find themselves in, tethered to a past filled with trauma while trying to build a future in a place that often views them with suspicion. The title itself, a play on the classic subway slogan, is a clever piece of commentary, suggesting the constant, low-grade anxiety of being perceived and the burden of when to speak up. If You See Something is a film with its share of stumbles, particularly in its narrative execution and pacing, but it's also a thoughtful, often moving portrait of love under immense pressure. It shines a light on a specific human experience with compassion and insight, and for that alone, it's worth your time. It may not be a perfectly tuned drama, but it's a sincere and admirably ambitious one that will likely linger with you after the credits roll. I'm giving If You See Something a 7 out of 10. All right, that's my take. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you felt about this one. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date with all my movie reviews and movie analysis. I always appreciate your time, and I hope to see you in my next video.